Hello, lovely viewers. My name is Cassie Belle, and this is Sage, and we're here to give advice to my fellow filthy casuals on my favorite healer in the Final Fantasy game, the Astrologian. But first, let's dive into some fun lore. Okay, give me a second. I have some notes. Just one second. These are really good notes, so just give me a second here. Sage. You don't think they want to hear lore, do you? Okay, fine. Let's at least tell them the pros and cons of the job, okay? Yeah, whatever. So, just a quick overview of what you're in for if you decide to pick up Astrologion. Let's start with some of the cons. Astrologian is a pretty versatile class. They have two healing stances. There's the diurnal stance, which is the regen stance, and then there's the nocturnal stance, which is the shielding stance. So if you're in a raid or a big group, like a full party, you can go either way. If you're paired up with a scholar, you can go into your regen stance. If you are paired up with a white mage, you can go into your nocturnal stance. Keep in mind you can't switch stances once the fight begins. So you have to go into your stance before the tank pulls. Of course, there's obviously the major pro of the job, which I find the most fun, are the card buff systems. Astrologian has a lot. And Sage, I'm almost done. Would you calm down, please? Oh my gosh. Anyway, Astrologian has a bunch of cards that can buff your party members and like extra crit or extra attack. And then there's the unique job skills of the game, of the job. If you need to heal on the go, you have light speed. If you need to heal more than one person, you have synastry, or however you pronounce it, where you basically link yourself to another party member, and if you heal somebody else, the amount of healing you do to that other person will transfer to the person you're linked to, which is pretty cool. So Astro has a lot of good tools for adapting to the fight, and mainly the big one is obviously for buffing the party. Now let's talk about some of the cons of the job, because no job is without its, disadvantages. The biggest for the Astrologian is, of course, the RNG of the card system, or the randomness of the cards. You are never guaranteed to draw the card you want at the right time. That'd be awesome if you could, but unfortunately, that would make Astro very OP, and the joke is that Astro is already OP. So yeah. Another, I guess, the other one is, it's not Sage. Okay. Another con of the job is that it's DPS for soloing stuff is not all that great. I mean, it's probably the lowest of the three healers. That doesn't mean you shouldn't DPS, obviously, but we'll get into that as we, do our first dungeon. I know all of this sounds imposing, but I mean, don't worry, that's why you have me and Sage here to guide you down the astro path. Keep in mind, though, this is a casual's guide to dungeons and instances as an astrologian. So we don't do hardcore endgame rating or anything like that, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean you can't build on what we teach you in these videos. So, and you should build on what we teach you, and that's why we're here. So without further ado, let's get into our first dungeon, Haukke Manor. Alright, so we're going to queue up for that. Oops. Just go up here and click. And we're going to wait for a little bit. I probably could have done this speech while we were waiting, but you know, whatever. Hey, there it is. Okay. Assuming everybody presses yes. So I'm going to be explaining each of the cards as I draw them while we're in the dungeon, assuming the DPS decide they want to press yes. So that way it'll be a lot easier, because I don't want to throw a whole bunch of information at you guys before I start actually doing the gameplay, because that'll be kind of weird. So that's what we're going to do. And the first thing you want to do when you get in is cast Protect on everybody. And also say hello. Be nice. Our tank is an adorable little Lala, which is awesome. Okay. Alright, here we go. First card, Balance. This is the attack buff. For the attack buffs, pretty much anybody will benefit from your balance, So, mostly, I would put it on, like, probably the melee first, which, the monk, obviously, this guy right here, so be sure it, so yeah, for balance, just, honestly, there is no one class that should get it more than others, but, for me, I just do, like, the melee first, but that's just me. Honestly, any class could really benefit from extra balance, or extra attack buffs. And if you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm rotating between putting a heal on the tank and DPSing. So just casting my Malefic spell. And he just ran on ahead. Alright. That's fine. You can do that, buddy. It's totally not what we're supposed to do. Also, I'm dotting the putting my damage over time spell Combust on the mobs too. So in terms of DPSing as a healer, my philosophy is you should always be healing and DPSing. But it's only if you're comfortable with doing that. If you're new to healing, just, stick with straight healing. Don't try to DPS and heal at the same time if you're new to it. But as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm rotating between, casting a heal when they need it and DPSing. I start off with putting a dot up. Alright, so we got a next new card. So, Aero. Casters love Aero. Also, combo, hey, I leveled. Melee DPS that use a lot of combos, like Dragoon and Monk, they would benefit from Aero as well. But generally, Aero is good for casters because it reduces their cast time and their weapon skill time, which, I mean, basically means for casters, obviously, they can cast their spells quicker. For melee DPS, it means they can get their combos out faster. But you want to prioritize, but for Aero, my personal feeling is you want to prioritize, if you have a caster in your group, prioritize them before prioritize them. So yeah. Hey, look, another Aero. This is what I was talking about, the RNG of this system. And so we're still going to put it on her. Honestly, red mages their damage is pretty good, so they don't really need the balance as much. But that's, you know, that's just from me playing red mage in the past. Alright, so we're up to our first boss. Don't worry about anything. And look, another Aero. See what I was talking about the RNG. It's really, I got like one balance, and then everything else has been arrows. Okay, so going back to healers DPSing, you see how my tank's ST, the little Lala, she's barely losing any health at all. So I'm free to DPS to my heart's content. And see, she lost a tiny bit, so we'll just put one heal on her. So again, if you have the time and the mana and your tank is not low on health, yeah, you should DPS, but only if you're comfortable with doing it, like I said. Also, I should like to point out that I haven't been in terms of drawing cards. If it looks like the boss is going to die like really soon, I wouldn't worry about drawing. It's probably like at the beginning of the fight that you should worry about drawing. Okay, so this is a card that is not going to be useful to me. This right here is the Ewer, and this is just basically the refresh or the mana card, and I don't need that, so I'm going to click Undraw, which is so awesome. I love that spell. So Undraw, in case you are completely dense, which I'm pretty sure you're not. But anyway, Undraw basically lets you discard the card that you just drew. So if you don't need the card, just hit the Undraw button. And we don't have redraw yet. We don't get redraw until 45, which just sucks. But anyway. Alright, so at the beginning. Okay, so this is the Spire. The Spire is a TP refresher, which nobody is out of TP, so we click Undraw. the Spire card is good for classes that use a lot of TP. And those would pretty much be Warrior, Dragoon, and Monk. And that's pretty much it in terms of the ones that you should prioritize for the spear, for the Spire, excuse me. There is a spear card, but we'll get to that here in a second. Alright, so this is the bowl card, the tree card, and this always goes on the tank. That's it. That's basically the tank card. I honestly can't think of any scenario where you would need to put bowl on somebody other than the tank. I mean, I guess if the tank is really bad and, you know, there's a DPS that's, you know, doing the tank's job, I guess they could get the bowl, but, I mean, more often than not, it's going to be the tank that gets bowl. Alright, so we're almost done with the dungeon. We're getting to the second boss here. Lala's so cute. And another spire, and again, nobody needs it, so we click undraw. This is actually the perfect tank to do this with, because they're not taking a whole lot of damage, so I can rotate between healing and casting a DPS spell. In terms of doing DPS, I usually start off with one of my dot first. I almost said with one of my dots, but honestly, Astro only has one dot, and that's the combust spell. It gets an upgrade as you get, I think like 50 plus. As you get to higher levels, it'll upgrade to combust 2. But I mean, honestly, yeah, it's still it's just one dot spell. All right. Whenever you see a red debuff button on your party member, you want to Asuna that like ASAP, and as soon as a roll skill that you can pick up. We'll get to that here, probably in the next video. And we just drew a balance, so the monk gets the balance. Oop. Generally, your benefic or your main healing spell will be enough to top your tank off, but as you just saw, you know, my tank lost a lot of health, so I had to use my Benefic 2, which is a more powerful and more costly version of my Benefic spell. And it's really not a good idea to spam that, especially in the early levels. But that's only if like your tank is like really freaking low and Benefic 1 just ain't cutting it. You may be asking yourself, Cassie, what is that thingy right there, the little flower on your bar down here above your health? Well, that is the indicator for my diurnal stance. See? Right now, that's the only stance I have at the moment. You don't get nocturnal stance until level 50, which, I mean, that's fine. I mean, really, the regen stance is all you need for the lower levels. Ow. I don't need that. Undraw. Normally when a bunch of your fellow people are losing a whole bunch of health, you just cast Helios, which is your AoE heal. You also have another AoE heal called Aspected Helios, which oh my god, did you? Alright, well, okay, that was that indicator of your oh shit button, which is your essential dignity, and that just means, hey look, he needed a spire. So yeah, essential dignity is basically your oh shit button. And like, oh shit, my tank lost a heap ton of health. Pop essential dignity. So Aspected Helios is, like I was saying, its ability changes based on what stance you're in. And I'll have to get into that in another video, because I can't really talk about it right here, because you get it at level 42. So basically, I can't. So basically, yeah, can't really use it yet. But in diurnal stance, it gives your entire party a big regen. So it's kind of like the White Mage's Medica 2. If you're in nocturnal stance, it's like the Scholar's Succor, where you get a big shield on everybody. But like I said, we'll go into that in a later video, because you know, like I said, I can't do that in this video. But yeah, if your tank's losing a whole bunch of health, lost a whole bunch of health, essential dignity, pop it. And I should like to point out, it says potency increases the lower the target's HP. So the lower your tank, the more healing your essential dignity will do. Also, I didn't get a chance to use this one, thank goodness. This is your resurrection button. This is your resurrection, your res. So, somebody dies, pop a send. And we did get swift cast, so we're going to need to go ahead and put that on there. I'm going to go over the roll actions, or the roll skills, in my second video, because, you know, I didn't really have time to go over them right now, but I will. So, but the main ones that you will almost always need: protect, cast a shield on people. As soon as you take debuffs off your party, some, not all. Lucid Dreaming and Swift Cast. Those are the main 4 ones that you will need. But I will go into that in probably the next video. So, I didn't get a chance to use Lightspeed. That sucks. Alright. Okay, so that is your introduction to the Astrologion. And Sage and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch our video, and if you like it, please be sure and hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time, I hope. So say goodbye, Sage. Hey.